When it comes to XRP, you should all listen to what I say. We don't get chances like this very often, and I promise you that by the end of the year, you'll fully understand what I'm talking about. I know that many of you are eager and want to know why XRP hasn't already gone through the roof. You ask things like, Levi, why isn't XRP already $20? Blah, 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 blah. You guys are always wrong about how things will turn out. Things always go wrong when you least expect them to. And exactly that's what we're going to do in this video. There has been a lot of consolidation because of the bad news, and now is a great time to warn you of what's to come. Due to the fact that most people in the market are now bearish rather than highly bullish like they were a few weeks ago when everything was going crazy. Okay, I'm going to share some great words from Tom Lee with all of you wonderful people. Please pay close attention. Press the like button to make sure everyone sees the movie. Now let's begin. The market went up and down 5 days in a row last week, which means that it was definitely an adjustment week. A negative engulfing is what they call it. It makes sense since we're building on our 28% gain from the lows in April. When it comes to the job, I think it's just that the data is confirming what we already know, right? The job market has been slow. Now the Fed has more reasons to change its stance to be less tight in the autumn, which I see as a good thing. And it's still not too late because we know the home market is what they're going to boost. And you had some people earlier who talked about that. In 2026, that's what makes the economy stronger. I think it's a pretty good setup, just putting things in order before we make a bigger move higher. You're right. I think the Fed needs to show that it is independent. It looks like they're moving farther away from their dual mandate when it comes to jobs because the unemployment rate is now almost 5%. If you use the participation rate that was in place before this report, the Fed now has to think about the chance that the job market will actually start to get worse. People thought that the tax regime would have to have a big effect. That's right. And I think the most important thing to remember is that, first, inflation has been pretty low when you look at the report on goods that are affected by tariffs. We're also below 2% if you use the same inflation measure that Europe does, which is inflation ex housing. If the Fed were the ECB, they would start cutting rates right now. That's interesting. By the end of the year, what goal are you setting now and when do you want to reach it? I believe we will have a strong rise in August. Yes, I believe we can reach new all-time highs of 65, 60, or 600 in the next few weeks, then another 7,000 in the next 12 months. Yeah, that next Bitmine, which we said would be at the top, is likely to be a lot higher than that. What do you think the micro strategy or strategy of theory study will be? Yes, that's right. Just a month ago, I was on the show to announce that I was becoming chairman. At the time, the stock was 450 Cs, and we announced a $250 million investment led by the Founders Fund in Mosaics and others. Today, we announced that we had reached almost $3 billion in value, making us the largest youth treasury in the world and the third largest crypto treasury in the world. We also told you that the third Bill Miller put a lot of money into Bitmine last week. Thus, he joins Cathie Woods in putting money into our business over the last few weeks. Anyway, Tom Lee is basically saying that we're getting ready for a huge rise here in August. This is a very important point that I want to make. And Tom Lee has been very close to calling many of the past rallies exactly when he thought they would happen. Also, I want to be very clear about something. It's likely that XRP and Bitcoin will be close behind if the SP 500 goes back to its all-time highs. Indeed, XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum have all been sold for too little based on what I've seen in the technology world. Almost all of the big cryptocurrencies are ready for a huge rise in value by every measure you can think of. What Tom Lee said about the Fed cutting rates is another important thing we need to think about. The Federal Reserve is likely to do what Tom Lee said they would, based on the financial data and data on the job market. If they do, that will make trillions of dollars more available in cash than before. And everyone knows that the stock market and M2 are very closely linked. The stock market is linked to M2 98% of the time, and the crypto market is linked to M2 90% of the time, and the link is only getting stronger. So basically, the crypto market, the stock market, and who knows what will happen with real estate could all see huge gains. It doesn't matter what happens, though, as long as people are pouring trillions of dollars into these markets and they're still growing. After that, Tom Lee makes one more very important point. This is what he does with Bitmine. Additionally, I would like to explain how this applies to XRP and what will begin to happen there. For everyone, XRP ETFs and XRP bank companies will be the most important thing in September when these ETFs are set to be approved. By itself, that could bring hundreds of billions of dollars in trades to XRP over the next year. So yes, it might not happen right away. Even though it might not happen right when you want it to, the wheels are already turning. Also, I believe that leaving the group now would be like stopping the run 20 feet from the finish line. It's just that most people can't see the end. They don't know how things work. They don't know anything about the Federal Reserve or how these things work. That's why they decide, Yadana, this is the best it's going to get, and they sell it. That's something I see a lot more of, and I think it's such a big mistake. But of course, that's not advice on money, just giving my honest opinion on what I think will happen here, which is that XRP will go through the roof by the end of the year. Just like Tom Lee says will happen with Ethereum, Bitcoin, and the SP 500. When it comes to adoption and welcome, and a lot of people still don't believe it. I can tell you that classic fiat investors are the ones who talk to me the most. Since the ETF launched, I think regular people have been slowly getting in. You've seen that with the money coming in. But things have changed a lot in the last 6 weeks, starting with the Circle IPO. For me, the Circle IPO was a big deal. On the air, Tom Lee called it a chat GPT moment, and I couldn't agree more. It just made people pay more attention to the place. When it comes to the big picture, in crypto, I do a show once a week, and I'll be honest, I've gotten more responses on Ethereum. I've already said that this is the year of network effects for crypto. That was something we talk. After that, ETF products made it possible for more and more regular people to do it last year. What do you think? Really, buy a Bitcoin, some Ether, or shares in Micro or Strategy. Tom Lee is the head of BitMine. That being said, is it better to buy cryptocurrency or shares in companies that hold digital assets? I think it depends on how much risk people are willing to take. If they want more risk, they can stick with treasury businesses. MicroStrategy for Bitcoin, and I think some people will go that way since Tom Lee was one of the first people to do it on a large scale. For people who are active from home, though, this is not a guess on my part. I think that investing in Bitcoin will be like investing in the SP 500 in the 2030s when the entire stock market will have changed. I've said it many times and I will keep saying it. In a world where AI changes everything, AI will change every business going forward. It doesn't seem like enough time has been spent on it. Bitcoin stands for something that is not part of the current system. It will keep getting stronger. I think I said on the last show that it would be over 200,000 this year. I still not only believe that, I think what's next will be even better. If for no other reason than to figure out what is certain going forward, I think this is something that people should at least focus on as a small part of their business. The current system of capitalism is going to change in the future, and if people don't believe it, they need to have some kind of safety net. Bitcoin and Ethereum together are a good way to do that. They take on more risk if they want to work for finance companies, but I think they'll be able to get by for now. Yeah, I think this guy makes a great point about how, yes, bank companies can give you more risk, but I think the best thing is for people to hold the asset themselves. Yes, you have more control over your money, there is less danger, and you aren't supporting big banks that make money off of your money. In a way, it seems like the better choice if we want to be financially free in the future. You should take care of yourself. Would you give someone your cash so they could make money off of it? Of course not, but that's what fractional reserve banking is, and it's the whole point of crypto in the first place. Why are we giving these other bank companies our cryptocurrencies to hold while we take on more risk? I don't think that's a very good trade-off. So yeah, I'll enjoy seeing how many people from older groups invest in ETFs, but I'm going to keep my money safe and not buy a single ETF. But that's the only way I can go. During this journey, I will also be trading a lot. I'd like to invite you all to join my free Discord and Telegram channels where I will post all of my trades. Right below is the way to join. I've had months when I made between 100% and 400% in a single month. You can see all of my past trades as well as the new ones I'm making right now. If that sounds good to you, hit the like button and check out the Levi Crypto Crusaders link below. If you like what you see, don't forget to join, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.